Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. It's Vlogmas in July 2021, day 27, which makes it a t-shirt quilt Tuesday. We're adding borders to the quilt top back here, so if you want to see how I got to this step, please stay tuned. It's time to add borders to the t-shirt quilt. I am very excited about this step. So far, I have cut these t-shirts. I've prepared them by putting some interface on the back of each panel. I have joined them with sashing and cornerstones, and all of that is detailed in previous videos for this quilt, and I'll link all of those videos in the comments. Today, in the description, not the comments. Today it's time to add some borders. I have two borders that I'm going to add. I have not quite decided about if I want to do a 1.5 inch border or a 2.5 inch border. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to do a 2-inch stop border, unfinished, and then a 4-inch outer border. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do right now. So let's look at these fabrics and then we'll see about cutting some strips here. I have this fabric for my stop border here, and I already tried cutting some strips. These are cut at 1.5, but I think I am gonna go with the 2-inch border. I just want something a little bit wider, or I could go with 1.5 and 3. Oh, I just don't know. So I just haven't decided yet. But I feel like I need to decide because I got to go upstairs and cut this in a minute. I really don't know. I'm going to hold them up against the quilt and then see which one I like the best. I think I'm going to go and cut a couple of 2-inch strips in a little bit, and then we'll see which one looks the best. I have this fabric for my outer border, and both of these fabrics are flannels, so they should be really nice in the quilt. I am a little bit concerned about having enough flannel for this one. I just opened it out for the first time right now, so I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to make it work, but we'll see. There might be a way to work it out. I just don't know yet. So we're going to start, I guess we'll start with this the inner border, and then I can make some decisions, because I do have another idea for the outer border. I just got to think about it a little bit more and see what we can do. So first, let's go upstairs and then cut some 2-inch strips out of this just to see which one I like better. I've already measured this quilt. I'm going to actually sew the side strips on first, and so the length of this quilt is 60.5 inches. So I'm going to get this cut first, and then we'll see what's next. So right now, I have a great opportunity to talk to you about my creative process. I went ahead and went upstairs, and I took these are the 1.5 inch strips that I have, and then I went and cut a 2-inch strip as well. And from this point, I love the 2-inch strip. I think that's going to be the best fit. So if I want to, I can take down this 1.5 inch, and then my idea was to have a 2-inch inner border, and then this 4-inch outer border. Now, I have not looked at this on the camera, but this is idea number 1. But then I thought that this inner fabric is so pretty that I could do a wider border and just have the one. So I went and cut 2 strips of that print, but I cut it 4 inches. That way, if I change my mind and I don't like it, I can just cut each one of these in half. So let me see. I'm going to put this up, and then I'm going to bring the camera closer. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to look at it through the camera, and then I'm going to bring the camera closer so that we can see it all together. I really have no idea which one I'm going to like the best. that's a little warped, but it's okay. But I think that any of them are great choices. I just don't know which one I'm going to like the best. So here we go. Let's see. All right, let's get closer here. And of course, on the right, this is the original idea here. Okay, and it's fine. I think I would need to cut a few more strips to really see if it's going to work. And I probably will do that. But then here's the other side. So what to do? I think the first thing I'm going to do is go cut some more of that dark blue and see how I like it. And then I can make a better decision. So let's go do that and then I'll come right back. I added more of that dark blue border. And as I look at it in the camera, I think that my first choice really was the best option now. I do believe that either one of those will work. Let me go a little closer. But I love having a dark border. I prefer that over having a lighter border. But what I hope is that once I have everything sewn together, that the color variation will still be as prominent as it is right now. That's my only concern. And I almost wonder if I should cut the strips at 2.5 inches instead of just 2 inches. But I think I'm going to let it be for now, because I will be able to cut these strips down to 2 inches and I think it's going to work. And I won't use as much fabric. So, speaking of fabric, let's go upstairs and cut some, and then we'll see how to put this bad boy together. So I'm going to sit here first just for the sake of the camera. I hope you can see me. I'm going to start with the outer border first because there's just not a lot of fabric, and so I need to make sure that I'm going to have enough to cut the way I want to. So what I'm going to do is, because this fabric makes little rainbows, I want to have that be directional in the quilt. So I want to cut the side borders vertically like this, but I'm going to cut the top and bottom horizontal. So I got to make sure that I have enough fabric to do that. I'm using my 6x24 inch ruler for this, mainly because I need it for the other fabric. So all I'm going to do is cut 3 of these strips first, because I have almost enough on that one side, and I know I need at least 2 strips for the other side. And then I can use what's left from the first side to finish it out. And then I'm going to cut horizontal and see how many, see if I can get enough to go across the top and bottom of the quilt. So here we go. For this cutting, I just hold down the ruler with my right hand, and I'm just going to cut with my left hand here. And I'm cutting 4-inch pieces off of this. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, except I'm going to try and get 2 more pieces off of this side. I don't know if it matters that I'm cutting this way. I don't think it matters. But this is not the selvage. I'm actually cutting, I don't even know what it's called, but I'm not cutting the selvage on these. I'm just cutting, the selvage is folded on the selvage. So here we go. I'm going to get this first cut. I'm just lining up the bottom with one of the lines on the ruler. Okay, and just holding the ruler down and giving it a nice cut. And then I'm going to flip this around so I can get my cuts, because since I'm left-handed, I need to be able to cut with my left hand. So I'm just flipping everything around. Okay. Line it up at the 4-inch line here. And then cut 2 more strips. And then the last one. And I really hope I have enough. I'm going to lay it out first on the quilt before I even cut the other pieces, because if I don't have enough, I think it still worked, but the mat turned. But I don't know if it's going to work if I don't have enough. If I don't have enough of this fabric, then trying to do the other part won't even matter. Okay, so now this is basically selvage to selvage, but I already cut the selvages off. And I'm just going to see how many I can get out of this piece and then just lay it out on the quilt and see how it goes. I'm going to flip this over because there's some overhang right here. And from this point, I could go ahead and grab my my shape cut ruler, but in order to make sure I'm getting the exact same width cuts, I think it's important to use the same ruler that I used before. So here we go. First cut, and now I'm going to flip it around. So I kind of overcut the first bit. And then I'm going to go back and even it off here. Okay, so I'm going to finish these off camera and then I'll show you what they look like on the quilt. So I'm just laying everything out for this outer border first. Hopefully you can see how I want the pattern to look so that it's uniform and directional the whole way across. For this top row here, this is what it's going to look like with the with that border, with the inner border there. Okay, but the other side I just placed the outer border just to see about the length, and it's going to be a little bit different. Like the top, I have a lot hanging over because I need to account for that inner border on the left side too. So for the side borders, I have 5 strips because they're not quite with the fabric, but I'm going to use a little bit at the bottom of each one to finish it out. That's why there are 5. And then for the top, they're going to be 8 strips. So there's 4 up here, and then I just lay the other 3 down here at the bottom, and I have to go cut 1 more. So I'm going to go upstairs and do that, and then we'll talk about cutting the inner border fabric. So when it comes to cutting the other pieces of flannel for the inner border, this fabric is about 60 inches wide. It's a little bit wider than the other one. And so I can't just fold it in half. I have one of the pieces and it's folded in 4ths here. And I'm going to, again, use my 6 by 24 inch ruler. And these were already at 4 inches, so I'm just cutting them down to 2 inches. And I have, hopefully this is good, just trying to basically cut it in half. But the difference is this time I'm going to add this 5-pound weight because these 4 layers are pretty thick. And when I tried to cut them before, it was a challenge for me. So I'm just pushing down as hard as I can to get a decent cut. Good. And this weight helps to hold the ruler steady. So I'm just going to cut those 2, and then I'm going to cut the other one too, because each side needs 2 strips, but I'm not sure about the top and the bottom. Like it needs 1 and a piece. So hopefully with these 6 strips, I should be able to get everything that I need. So here we go. I'm just lining up the edges and folding. I folded it in half twice. Line up my ruler here at the 2-inch line. Add my weight. And then give it a cut. I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit and make sure it's more even. Okay. I hope it's lined up well enough. Here we go. There we go. So now we're going to go lay everything out downstairs and see what our next step is going to be. I went ahead and pulled down the outer border pieces so that I can go ahead and lay out the inner border. And let me show you this. I pinned them together so that all of the side borders are pinned together, and then the top and bottom borders are pinned together. I think that's going to help me not get confused a little bit later when it's time to put these borders together. So, laying out the top and bottom, let me move these out of the way. So I have my 1.5-inch strips, but my borders I'm using are 2 inches. So let me scoot that over somewhere else. Okay, so let me lay out the side borders now, because this is what I'm going to sew together first onto the quilt. So here's one. And so you can see that I only need a little bit at the very bottom of each one. So hopefully that'll give me enough to add to the top and bottom. Okay, so here we go. Scoot it over closer. And then I'm just going to lay out the top one, but I'm hopeful that I'll have enough to do the bottom and I won't have to cut anymore. And it's so cute. And there will definitely be enough to do the bottom side. Okay, so I'm going to start first by stitching these pieces together. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a 45 degree seam or the straight seam. Probably the 45 degree, just because I don't know why, but I think that's what I'm going to do. But I will do it on camera. I'll just speed the camera up so that you can see it. Here we go. Borders laid out. This bottom one, which actually may go on the top, I haven't decided yet. It's really long because it's 2 full strips put together, but you can see that that each side is about right. I went ahead and cut the side borders, just a rough cut, so a little bit longer than I feel like they need to be. And I want to wait and cut these after I have the sides put on. So I'm going to stitch the sides on first, and then I'm going to do the top and bottom. I think I can go ahead and do this part off camera. I am going to have the flannel on the bottom because it's a little bit longer. So hopefully it'll, or maybe it'll ease into place. Actually, before I do that, I am going to pin. I don't think it matters, but I'm going to pin these before I sew them. I'm going to pin both sides and then sew them on, and then pin the top and bottom and sew them on. I have all 4 borders on. I mean, this is the inner border. It's all on the quilt. I have it on the floor because I would have had to pin it up onto the design wall for it to stay. But now it's time to add the outer border. So I'm going to prepare the pieces and add that outer border, and I'll show you the top when it's done. I have both borders on the quilt and I am super excited. I love the way that this turned out. I was concerned about this dark border, but it is just perfect to me. I'm going to bring the camera up close so you can see the directional fabric in this outer border, but it looks really nice. And on camera, it reads like a solid, but it's not really a solid. So take a look at that as it goes down. And I'm so happy with the direction. I have to zoom in because it's on the floor almost and I'm not getting down there. But I love that it looks like little rainbows, little bits of sunshine on the quilt. It's so nice. And then when you take it away, as I move the camera back, it just kind of reads a solid, and I just love that. So, and I love that it's flannel too. I think the flannel really looks nice. And now the camera's crooked. I don't know why, but it'll be okay. All right, so the t-shirt quilt is finally done. Not all the way done, but the top is done. And so I'm excited about the possibility of finding a backing, the possibility of quilting it. I need to make a decision about the binding, if I'm going to use a flannel binding. I'm not sure if I have enough fabric to do a flannel binding, so that might be out of the question. And then for the backing, I just have no idea yet. So, but I'm really happy with it. I hope that, that I know that some of you are following along and getting your stuff together for a t-shirt quilt. I'd love to see your progress as soon as you get that done. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video and share it with your friends. And subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!